Morning, San Diego. 9:16 is now the time. Skin safety, very important, especially now that we are well into the summer months. It's 4th of July weekend. A lot of people are going to be out and about in the sun. So joining us to talk about some very important summer skin safety tips is Dr. Melanie Palm, Director of Art of Skin, MD. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning, Elizabeth.
Nice to see you.
You too.
So I brought this because I wanted to show you. I don't go anywhere without this.
You make me so happy.
Do I do good?
You do great. And we brought a nice display. You've got some Neutrogena products, and we brought some other ones here. And we want to talk about that. I know the weather forecast isn't supposed to be super sunny, but I always like to recommend to my patients, even on these cloudy days, there's still 80% of our sun exposure. So even be mindful on these weekends. We're going to be spending a lot of time outside at barbecues and at the beach, so you want to make sure you're protecting your skin.
And that's a good point, because even though it's overcast, that can be misleading. Those UV rays still go through.
Yeah, they do, and we get concerned about, several different factors. The UVA, which is what sort of causes the aging changes, can be related to melanoma. UVB, which is related to things like basal cell and squamous cell carcinoma, and that's what causes burns. But even more importantly, all of the research that's going on with sunscreen right now is sort of moving towards visible range and even infrared light, because we know now that that actually causes changes in the skin in terms of aging.
That is interesting. So you mentioned the UVA, the UVB. What you brought are all of these lotions, all of these products. Do they protect both?
They do, and so you really want to look. The FDA actually just in the last year sort of revamped things. So you want to look for one that's broad coverage, which means it covers both UVA and UVB, the entire UVA or UV spectrum that we're really looking at. And then as well, we like, the recommendation is an SPF of 15. I really like 30 or more. We know at a cellular level there's a big difference between 15 and 30 SPF. Beyond that, you're way up high on the curve. If you're doing 100 versus a 40, there's not a real big difference in terms of the UVB coverage. So broad spectrum, and make sure that you're actually reapplying. And during the high noon hours from 10 to 4, make sure that you're not outside or you're seeking shade if you are.
Oh, that's a good point. Maybe, if you are headed to the beach, as we see in this video, a lot of folks take out some sort of shade. Umbrellas are always good. Hats, always good, especially for the kids.
Yeah, and there's lots of great sun sort of UPF clothing. So there's actually a San Diego brand that is very wonderful out in Solana Beach. I actually brought, that's called Grace by Grit. I brought a British brand in red, white, and blue called Lucas Hue that does UPF clothing. If you look at some of the Lululemon and other sort of brand names, look at the labeling, because some of them have UPF. And don't forget your eyes. So I brought some red sunnies to be very sort of patriotic for this weekend. But you want to make sure that you're protecting your eyes as well. We can have changes. You increase your chance of cataracts with UV exposure. You want to make sure that you've got good, strong coverage with your sunglasses.
And speaking about the protecting your eyes, that's also important for the kids too. As I learned a couple of years ago, now that my kids are getting older, if you can get them some sunglasses of some sort, that's always a plus. I mean, it's very important.
And there's so many choices now.
I know.
I think kids have wonderful opportunities to sort of display their personalities. So let them have fun with some of their sunglasses.
Going back to the clothing really quick, what did you say it was called?
So there's one called Grace by Grit here in Solana. There's one called Lucas Hue, which is what I brought, but you want to look for UPF, which is basically like an SPF of clothing, and you want to look for 50 or more.
Wow, that amazes me, because the average person may not realize that there's actual clothing that can protect you from the sun's rays.
Yeah, I mean, patients see me out walking all the time, and they'll see that I'm in this UPF clothing. I even have a little neck thing. There's great ways, in addition to wearing sunscreen, that you can protect your skin, especially with some of my male patients, or if I have athletes, sometimes they're having a hard time reapplying things. And if they can also add in clothing that's protecting themselves against sun exposure, that's fantastic.
All such good advice, Dr. Melanie. How do folks get in touch with you if you want to learn more?
Yeah, sure. They can look up our website. It's artofskinmd.com, or our phone number is 858-792-7546.
All right, Dr. Melanie Palm, Director of Art of Skin, MD. Nice to see you.
Thank you. You
Have
too.
a great weekend.
Thanks.
All right.